At the point where I think everyone should be running Proxmox or some sort of virtualization so you can have lots of computers inside your computer. Before we get started, let's head over to WhoKeys and unlock our copy of Windows. By using coupon code TS25, you can get 25% off these prices here. I use Windows 10 Pro. You can also get Windows 10 Home, and both of these will upgrade to Windows 11. You can get that. Also, note that the Windows 10 keys have been working with Windows 11. Google it and make sure that this is still a thing whenever you're purchasing your key. Also, I want to note that if you get Windows 10 Home and you upgrade it to Windows 11, they will force you to use an online account. With Windows 11 Pro, however, you can use a local account, just so you know. You can also get Office 2019 with that same discount, or if you like, you can get Windows 10 Pro and Office 2019 in a bundle and save even more. So go ahead and put TS25 in here as your coupon code, hit apply, and then you can see we can get Windows 10 Pro for $14.85. Once you're finished, if you want to access your key, you click on your name on the top right, click on User Center, and you'll see My Purchase Orders. Right here, you'll be able to view the keys that you've purchased just by clicking on View Keys and Codes. Then you will see your code right here. Just go ahead and copy this code, press Start, type Activate, and you'll see activation settings come up. Click on that. Then click Change Product Key. Right there, you can paste in your code and hit Next, and then you will be activated. It's very simple. So don't pay those retail prices for your copy of Windows or Office. Head over to whokeys.com and use coupon code TS25. So what different computers do you want to put in your computer? Well, the first thing I think everyone should be running is Pi-hole. And you can do that on a Raspberry Pi. You can get one of those for like, right now they're being price gouged to like 60, 70 bucks. You'll need a little case for it and all that stuff if you want to get fancy. Or you can get an old computer and run Raspberry Pi inside Proxmox, and you can run multiple instances of it. This will be your DNS. What else can you do with home server? Well, you can run like a little download box. It's always on. You can run all kinds of things with Proxmox. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you some really inexpensive hardware suggestions. Like we're talking like under $100 to get a system that can run 4 or 5 different VMs. And then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing with Proxmox. And I'm not completely finished with my little home server setup. And the reason I'm making the video now is because a lot of you are much smarter than I am when it comes to Linux. And I'm sure you're going to give me some awesome ideas that I can implement and then make another video talking about how it went for me and what I'm using it for. So let's make this a collaborative effort. But first, let's talk about the hardware that I'm using here. So I use these Dell Optiplexes. You can get these for like $100, 80 bucks. And these are very slim computers that are completely silent, and they have a nice socket. They're usually like 4th, 5th, 6th gen Intel. You can swap out the components. They usually have 1 or 2 PCI Express slots. I'm using one of these in my garage to ship all the Epic Pants orders. So I decided to get another one of these. They're also relatively low power, and you know, if you're not using them that much and the CPU's not ramping up, they're not gonna draw that much power. We're talking like really, really inexpensive to run one of these. So I was looking around online and I saw one of these. Yes, I saw a 9020 online for sale for $100 locally. They're a little more expensive on eBay, but free shipping. Hey, check that out. So I got one of these. It came with the i5-4590. Mine came with 12 gigabytes of memory and a 240 gigabyte hard drive. 240 gigabytes is enough to run 4 or 5 VMs, or even more depending on what you're doing. You grab one of these, and then we can still install more stuff in the back. We got a couple PCI Express slots. And as you can see on mine, I have opened it up and upgraded it a little bit because I decided I wanted to install even more stuff. But the i5 is completely capable of running multiple VMs. Even though it's only a quad core, you can run several VMs with 1 core each. And as long as they're not like, you know, maxing out the CPU, it's not gonna be any big deal. And oh, this one just sold, but you can also get a larger one. If you have room for it, you can get something like this. One of the big, Optiplex 9020 desktop PCs. It's the same stuff under the hood, except the motherboard is bigger. Having a bigger motherboard will allow you to install more stuff under the hood. Let's see if I can. We have a 1X slot. We've got 2 of the 16X slots. I think the bottom one runs at 8X. And we even have an old PCI slot. So this one would be an amazing server. And you can throw some hard drives in here and all kinds of different things. You could run a NAS on this in addition to running 2 Pi-holes. And you could even run a router in here if you wanted to install pfSense or OpenSense. You could do that and install a NIC, no problem. So I really think it's a good idea to grab, if you have room for it, grab a bigger one. I don't have tons of room. Well, I do have a little bit of room, but I just grab one of these because it's all I need. You can get half-height cards, put them in there, and you're totally fine. Now, I normally don't advocate like going out and spending tons of money on stuff that people don't need. Like every year, we don't need to be upgrading our GPUs. Every year, we don't need to be upgrading our CPUs. But there's so many videos out there that create this desire to be upgrading all the time. But on the other hand, with something like this, I think this is something that can improve your life. And it's such a low cost that what I did, as a bargain to myself or as a deal with myself, I sold a couple of monitors I wasn't using and then used that money to buy this. So I'm like, I'm just getting rid of some stuff to get some new stuff. So that's what I've done. Now, let me show you the upgrades that I made because I'm getting a little serious about this. I grabbed 16 gigabytes of memory. Now, 16 gigabytes is enough for what I'm doing, but this system will hold 32 gigabytes. It's DDR3, but you're really not going to notice the speed difference in DDR3 and DDR4 for a system like this. The amount of RAM is what's important. And then I also grabbed a new CPU. Now, this CPU is not going to be faster really when it comes to the frequency. The reason I got this is because it gives me more cores. This is the 4790S. This is a low power part. It's one of the low power parts for this socket. Not as fast as just the 4790. If you wanted to get like a 4790 or 4790K, by all means, but this one's going to run a little cooler and it's going to give me those extra cores, and I have not noticed any reason to get more than this. This is completely enough for me. Now, I had a couple of these just sitting around. I think I pulled them from another system that I got somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but if you need some storage that's not crazy expensive and works really well and is enterprise grade, these Seagate drives are nice. Totally not necessary though, but I got a couple of these and I'm going to mirror them just for redundancy's sake. Now let's take a look. Well, this is bright. Me in the light. All right, now let's talk about what I'm doing with my Proxmox machine. Talk about what I plan to do, and then you can give me some ideas, or we can talk back and forth and get you some ideas for what you can do at your house with Proxmox, or at your office even. So this is my Proxmox. I'm running all kinds of things over here. I really missed Windows 7, so I spun up a Windows 7 server. Let's turn it on, shall we? Get that going in the background. I'm running Linux Lite here. It's a very light desktop environment using XFCE, and I'm using this one just mostly to download things and stuff like that. Just have it on all the time, disseminating material. So I've got Windows 10 over here as well. I'm going back and forth between Windows 10 and Windows 7 to test out a few things, and I'm sad that Windows 7 doesn't support everything that Windows 10 does. Oh, hi Jade, how you doing? So I'm running Foobar and Jellyfin server, running these two. Now the nice thing about Foobar that I'm using is, if you come up here to my preferences, I'll show you, I have a component here that allows me to broadcast UPnP, right there, UPnP server. So now when I'm out and about, I can connect to my home server and have access to all of my music on my phone. It's freaking cool. All right, so here's my Foobar media library. The background is too bright. There we go. Check out all that stuff. All right, you get the idea. This thing sucks. So you get the idea. I now have access to all my music on my phone. This is playing over the internet. It's not playing over my local network. That's over the internet because I have my network turned off. So now I have access to my entire library thanks to Foobar and the UPnP plugin. So I quite love that. There we go. That's my Windows 10 desktop. I'm going back and forth between Windows 10 and Windows 7. I like Windows 7 better, but Windows 10 just has more compatibility and it makes me sad. Because it uses far more resources. I turn one off and turn the other one on just to test them out. So yeah, I've got Jellyfin here. It's the same Jellyfin. I just copied and pasted the files and folders, but yeah. So we've got those going. And then I'm going back and forth between pfSense and OpenSense. This is an easy way to I'm not going to start them up right now, but an easy way to check them out. And then I have 2 instances of Pi-hole installed for my DNS. There's my Pi-hole install. So here's my Pi-hole installation, I've even added some ad lists to this. So I'll make a video on Pi-hole next, but I've got 2 copies of that so I can have 2 DNS servers running. And then I would recommend doing a recursive DNS, but that's all going to be in the upcoming video. I've got DOS 7.1. I'm going to turn that on in a little bit. 7.1 is a compiled version of DOS with some new updates and stuff. I think it was made in China. I don't know. And then the last thing I'm doing right now is I've got HA proxy. I'm about to install Apache right here. I'm in the middle of doing this right now. I'm going to get a proxy server going so that I can clean up some of my URLs and give myself better access from the outside world, and also issue some SSL certificates for stuff on my local network using, trying to just do this using wildcard and just letting it get everything, you know. So that's what I'm using my Proxmox for right now. And just as it is, it's cheaper to get that Dell machine than it is to get 2 Raspberry Pis to run 2 instances of Pi-hole. This is a far better way to do that in my opinion, because I can run both my instances of Pi-hole right here on this one machine, and I can run all those other VMs. Oh, let me just show you my summary over here. So with all that stuff running, it's barely using anything. If I start playing music on my phone, so I'll be streaming from my system here, it's like, let's change songs. It's like barely even, it's not even doing anything. Yeah, it's like, I don't know how it can function like this and barely use any CPU. Proxmox is almost like not even there. So when you compare this to like installing Hyper-V or Windows Server or something like that, that's resource intensive just as it is. And if you've got a really interesting need for that or some reason for that, yeah. But if you're doing this for a home, Proxmox is so easy, and you can also, if I wanted to create other nodes or even other data centers, I could create another node, or I could get another box like this and just connect them together. So, and then I can use HA proxy to mess with that. But yeah, you can have just high availability and have multiple boxes and stuff like that in your house, so that if one of them goes down, it fails over to the other one, or if something goes wrong with this one, you just get the other one up and running. And these things are so inexpensive, and the way it works and everything, it's just like, why not? Oh, I almost forgot. How did I get this dark version of Proxmox? I totally almost forgot. Okay, so I went over here and just entered these codes, just entered this stuff in. Now this is dangerous because it's running an SH script right here. This is, you don't want to be running shell scripts and stuff like that without verifying that it's decent first. So this is not good advice to just say, hey, just type this into your, terminal and press enter. Normally that's a bad thing to do, but I did my research, checked it out, looked at the contributors, and then read some comments online and made sure this was legit. It's also on GitHub, so that's usually better. But yeah, you normally don't want to just be entering stuff in there. But anyway, what I did was just basically copied this, come over, and you click on Prox up here, click on Shell, and then you just type that in and reboot your machine. And then we now have the dark mode. If they upgrade Proxmox, you may break some things, but dark mode is nice. So that's what I've been doing for a while. I've been getting over a little bit of a cold. Been in a closet mostly, but I'm out of the closet now with my virtual machines. So let me know what I should be doing with this. What else do you think would be fun? How would you be using it that's different than the way I'm using it? I want to know in the comments. I want to read these things. And if it's something I think is really interesting, maybe I will do it and then make a video talking about my experience. And you can critique it, of course, because it's always dangerous for me to do stuff in the Linux community because I'm not a hardcore Linux user. And I know that I'm going to mess up. I know that I'm not going to type the right thing. I know that I'm going to say the wrong thing. So, just making a video like this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble. I'm going to say one wrong thing. But I think a lot of the people in this community are more helpful than snobby. So thanks for being awesome. And let me know what you think of this video. All right, you know what's funny? This says Windows 10 Home In, but it's not. I upgraded this to Windows 10 Workstation, and I got a serial number from our sponsor. So do thank our sponsor, and if you grab a Windows key for one of these here, you can grab it over there for, really, really cheap. So that's what I did. But anyway, thanks to them again, and we'll see you in the comments.